Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, we break the silence of Mer Segrid. Or, I don't know, we go in there and we rescue someone. Scalander said there's some merchant ship in peril, so obviously this is a job for the nearest Rogue Trader. Question mark. I mean, look, it's our protectorate, so I suppose we should protect it. And, you know, never a bad idea to have merchants in your debt. Hopefully we actually got here fast enough. I noticed mention of Drukhari void ships, but no mention of a merchant. Hey, there they are. Imperial Falchion-class frigate. That's actually the same chassis we're using. And we're up against a trio of Drukhari destroyers coming in hot on left. Oh, but then also a pair of Drukhari frigates circling on right. Interesting. Given the layout here, I think our first priority needs to be blocking those destroyers, so we'll move on an intercept path, hopefully tag one of them on approach. Draw some fire in return. Minor ding, we'll take it. Salvo out. Hopefully it'll draw some fire too. Oh, nice. And destroyer one out. Thank goodness these things are made of spite and string. We'll put shields to front. And that's all we can do, so fingers crossed. Oh, shoot. Okay. My goodness. Well, points for staying focused, I suppose. Nice. Frigates coming around. And see, that is really problematic because now the merchant ship's moving right into their arc. They really kind of stack the odds against us here. Destroyer's out. But now the trick is trying to keep the frigates off the merchant. Bootleg puts us too far out. We'll go right angle. Stay closer. We'll also see if we can pull priority by dinging up their hulls. Hopefully the Sword 3 will follow our example. Oh, solid tag. Nice. But not quite enough. Still, that might hold their attention. boy. Okay, this might be over already. Okay, stop, please. My goodness. Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, that's slightly less perfect. Wow, that just tore right through our shields. That's 2/3 of our hull gone. But on the bright side, I think we're in good shape here. Let's wrap this up. A short but very intense and painful ship battle. I can certainly appreciate that. Oh, yeah, we've got this. If they had reprocced their shadow fields, that would have made things more problematic, but as it stands, they had no chance. They must make their time. .5 stacks Drukhari cargo. And level up. Nice. Let's go ahead and take care of that now. Oh, or not. A new message from Master Scalander, Lord Captain. This time he is not reporting yet another attack, but the alleged location of one of the Xenos leaders. Achilles' aides have reported that said leader will be heading an attack on the paradise world, Grantis. There is one catch. The planet belongs to Caligos Winterscale, another rogue trader. Master Scalander noted in his message that responding to a distress call is unlikely to be considered an incursion into somebody else's territory. The governor of Grantis will most likely send out a call for aid the moment the raid begins. And if your void ship happens to be nearby, no one will question your reasons for landing. You know what? That's good to know, because it gives us pretty good retroactive cover for exploiting at least a couple of the other planets in his territory. You know, not that he's really likely to care regardless, but just in case. Oof, yeah, that's pricey, but still a net profit. Not to mention, of course, the level up. And this time... Ooh, flagship development. That's new. Okay, so one ability and one development. And we'll grab vulnerability scan. That would have actually saved us some trouble in that last fight. Discounted repairs. Silent running. Faster initiative. Oh man, that might be worth the investment. More scrap. Oh, and then we can also use these slots for normal abilities. Okay. Well, you know, if I hadn't just done our repairs... But, given that I did, we'll just take it all instead. I mean, ultimately we'll be grabbing both, but... Might as well lead with this one. Help offset that extra 35 scrap we could have otherwise saved. Lord Captain, we've received a Vox message from the rescued vessel. The ship's command sends their inordinate thanks for your assistance, and reports that a shuttle has been dispatched to deliver something to our ship. It seems the captain has decided to personally thank you for saving his hide. As soon as the transfer takes place, the ship will depart the system. I imagine they're worried about the integrity of their hole-riddled bucket and want to get as far away from this perilous system as they can. Ratobi pattern shotgun. That might actually be an upgrade. Let's get a gander here real quick. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's actually an upgrade pretty much completely across the board. Higher damage, higher pen, double range. We will absolutely take that. Though, as always, the shotty's more for defense than offense, but, you know, certainly doesn't hurt if you can actually cause some damage with it in the process. Well, no, I guess it would hurt. That's kind of the whole point. You get the idea. Hard pass on the plasteel. We're down to our last couple of extractiums, so we have to be really frugal here. At least until we get the next batch going. Ooh, for Promethium, that's closer to the line, but I think still a pass. For now. We'll earmark that for later collection once we've got more extractiums to play with. I mean, ultimately, of course, we will need plenty of plasteel and promethium for various projects. They are commonly required ingredients, but you know, we're fine on them for now. We've got enough to get by. And that is exactly why we're being frugal. We definitely need phlogiston. Oh, and there's Archaeotech Fragment 3. Wow. So assuming that is a 4-piece set, just one more to go. Oh, right. Also, we had some colony stuff in the queue, right? Let's go ahead and run through that real quick. See what's going on. Okay. There we are. An incredible find has been made on Foulstone, Lord Captain. A lost volume of St. Keith's Lost Diary has been found during the restoration of his crypt. According to his records, the members of the Order of the Hammer were able to find the cryptoark containing a relic of St. Cognatius, the Crucible. Keith's writings on it are vague. It is called the Sculptor and Transformer, granting life and grace. The explorators have sent a delegation claiming the treasure. The heated dispute has been going on for many days. What exactly is the nature of this dispute? The tech priests claim that the privileges of the Adeptus Mechanicus oblige the Order of the Hammer to hand any sacred archaeotech over to them. Allegedly, the Crucible should be considered not as the personal belonging of the saint, but rather as a temporary possession entrusted into his care. The Order of the Hammer rejects this thesis, insisting that the right to care for those sacred objects belongs to the Ecclesiarchy's cults, and since Cognatius was canonized, then the Crucible should be regarded as a blessed relic, not archaeotech. Oh gosh, I have so many cats immediately collecting on my desktop. Guys, please. But yeah, it's weird. I always kind of assumed the Order of the Hammer were tech priests, even if they were also part of the Ecclesiarchy. Maybe that's just the impression that early illustration gave me, back during the original Foulstone event, where they looked pretty heavily teched up. Tell it to me straight, Danrock. Just how bad's it getting in there? Quite. The discussions have been happening now for more than 8 cycles without interruption. Both sides have provided more than 100 legal experts and have put forth around 4,000 theses, arguments, and testimonies. The Special Administratum Commission, comprised of 200 armed clerks, has arrived to pass a verdict and enforce the law. This is probably the largest religious dispute in the Expanse's history. Oh, good. And it's happening right on my doorstep. Yeah, that's That's great. That's what I wanted. Pastor Tychon is advocating for the doctrine of co-protection, and the explorators and transigents grows ever weaker. Perhaps they will agree on a compromise. You know, that would be nice. But I'll assume we've got some pretty charged opinions going around the table here.
It is likely that the research contained in the ancient treatises and archival repositories of the Adeptus Mechanicus will provide factual information on similar precedent. I can spare some of my computing power to find such a case, and provide my brothers and sisters with the information that is necessary to win this dispute.
Alright, Brain, I'm going to need you to stop kicking my hand, sweetheart. I believe that the chronicles of the Amolinian Conclave describe mystical miracles witnessed by zealots while praying at an ancient banner of St. Cappius. Should the Crucible perform a similar miracle, then no doubts will remain that it is indeed a holy relic, and not the property of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Shireen, do you know the best motivation to make your enemies ripe for the compromise? The danger of losing any sort of benefit. It is within your power to take the Crucible for yourself, using the privilege of your warrant, if you so desire. Why do you not imply such a possibility to the parties involved? Ooh, kind of a King Solomon thing. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Posit myself as the villain to force them to compromise, or to at least draw one of them out as unsuitable to care for this relic. Yeah, and unfortunately, as of the latest patch, we can no longer mouse over the rewards to see what they actually are. Though we can't see the names, which honestly doesn't really help us all that much. I will say, though, you know, under normal circumstances, I'd definitely go Adeptus Mechanicus, but in this case, you know, the Order of the Hammer's been pretty cool to us too, so I really do hate to favor one over the other. Good call, Jay. Let's see how long it takes for them to come to a consensus now. As soon as news of the rogue traitors' bellicose stance on the Crucible reached the ears of the disputing sides, they unanimously decided to start looking for a compromise. It only took them several cycles to reach an agreement on their collective maintenance of the Crucible. In the process of forming their alliance, the monks and the tech priest have discovered a surprising similarity between them. Both of them hold strong convictions and devotion to their relics, and thus both sides found the strength to see one another as true, like-minded supporters, not mere reluctant allies. Research into the Crucible has identified it as a device for surface terraforming. Fueled by the geothermal energy of a planet, it could turn a wasteland into a blooming garden. However, a way to launch it has yet to be found. Interesting. So 2 of our 4 worlds just happen to have ancient terraforming devices on them. One Archaeotech, one Eldari. Plus, of course, whatever's going on with Viabo 6, I'm not really familiar enough with the Necrons to know why they might be infesting that particular world. But, I've got to say, all things considered, not bad. Not a bad outcome. A rare moment of compromise. Also a new batch of Tears of Repentance. We'll take those. At this point, we've got like 20 of those, so that's basically just half a stack of Mechanicus. Now, Dargonis. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we actually have to be physically present for that one. That certainly implies the threat of combat. Oh, and Viabo 6. Lord Captain, the minds of Viabo 6 are once again in turmoil. At the depths of level MD Zeta 05, the Overseers have discovered a mountain of mutilated bodies, as if crushed by the millstones of the mining machines. All the dead are convicts. The Overseers believe that there is a cult of heretics operating in the ranks of prisoners, offering human sacrifices. The prisoners themselves claim that this atrocity was committed on the order of the superintendent to rid the prison of the more inconvenient inmates. The superintendent tried to reason with the mob, but was mauled instead. Yeah, that's not great. Nobody goes to the mall anymore. His desecrated remains were found inside the cells where the prisoners were being tortured during the interrogation of the strange convicts. Okay, you know what? Maybe he did have it coming. Disregard what I said before, except for the part about no one going to malls anymore. That part's still true. The overseers have managed to isolate the rebels inside the mining facilities, but an assault would result in high losses of workforce. On the other hand, the prisoners are ready to lay down their weapons, cease their violence, and repent, if the rogue trader would only demonstrate some compassion toward their plight, possibly by reforming some of the more severe punishments. Honestly, I feel like the underlying cause of this whole thing is the pile of corpses we found. Do we not know where those came from? Unknown. The riot made the investigation more difficult. Maybe it was the work of the superintendent, or maybe there is, say, a cell of the cult of the Final Dawn operating amongst the prisoners. But there is an oddity on the few picts that the overseers have managed to scrounge together. If one were to use their imagination, they could see a certain pattern in the scattered bodies. One that is remotely similar to the one these difficult prisoners had been drawing. Gosh, you don't say. Alright folks, I'm open to suggestions here. Looking in your direction, Heinrichs. You're our resident Xenos expert, aren't you? Shireen, if the governor and a pack of overseers cannot handle their duties, should they not take the place of their wards? And could there not be worthy administrators among those who oppose them? Those who could do better? Oh gosh, Jay, if you'd been with us back on Rykad-Philia, I feel like you'd, not be recommending this right now. A mob of commoners has mauled a nobleman who had been attempting to reason with them. How awful! Perhaps the underground madness has spread among them and assumed a new form, turning them into monsters in the process? It would be cruel to kill them if this is the case. It is much more humane to dissect their brains in order to well-meaningly reduce their ferocity and inclination toward disobedience. It had once been done by my house when the serfs had rebelled in their ignorance. A rather merciful step. Okay, so that's a vote for lobotomized slave labor. Duly noted. Cass, we're gonna have to talk after class. I do not care about the overseers, the convicts, or their problems. I care about the dead bodies. Who left them? That is the important question. If the bodies are not destroyed yet, then we can conduct a divination. The ritual is not very appetizing, but a psyker, not on the squeamish side, could learn more about their death. Yes, thank you, Adira. It's kind of weird to hear you as the voice of reason, but, yeah, we should really be staying focused on where the bodies came from in the first place. Ooh, a whole lot of options this time. Thorough investigation grants keen mind and -1 complacency. Right, because it probably relies on interrogation and torture. Psychic investigation just grants keen mind, no complacency lost. Which does keep that at the top of my current pick list. Exterminate them all. Yeah, I think we'll pass on that. As well as the lobotomy. Oh, actually, you know what? Letting the prisoners run the prison feels like a really inherently bad idea, but those are some halfway decent results. But I think ultimately we have to go with my gut. I feel like it's more important to address the root cause than the subsequent complications. Adira, make the call. I am genuinely relieved that I will not have to take part in this dirty business. The man found among the prisoners was not a sanctioned psyker, but was gifted enough to perform the ritual sent to the colony by Adira. While digging through the intestines of the dead body and mumbling something to himself, he had seen the dark figure that committed this vile deed. The vision had stripped away his mind, leaving him an incontinent loon. Although he was now unable to describe it clearly, it was clear that the figure was not human. The riot has subsided. What? No way. Not human. Who could have possibly seen this coming? Well, at this rate, I'm sure it'll just take 5 or 6 more massacres before we've got it all flayed out in front of us. Also, thanks for chipping in here. Heinrich's really earning your spot on my ship. But, it's fine. I probably wouldn't have gone with your suggestion anyway. And Envirodome's complete. Oh, new projects. Oh, okay, I see. They were keyed to completing either Envirodomes or ergonomics. And since we didn't do ergonomics, we can't do killing fields. Which, I'm honestly okay with, even though it would have been nice to get those bonuses. Which leaves Test of Wills. There are now more convicts than there is work to go around. The surplus can be driven into the jungle. Over time, they will become wild and toughened by inter-clan conflicts, at which point the best fighters among them will be selected for service. Interesting. Which would eat up most of our weapons, but would grant bonus torpedo damage, as well as a protectorate wide security boost. Wow. And an influx of people, which, not for nothing, is something we very much need right now. That's not bad. I mean, it's a bit harsh, but probably about as close as you're going to see to an actual legitimate parole system in something like the Warhammer 40k universe. I mean, seriously, not just getting out of prison early, but potentially being employed by the rogue trader himself, even if it is on a lower deck as glorified cannon fodder. And, I mean, honestly, given that our alternative is something called blood sports, I feel like this is a pretty obvious choice. Gladiatorial arenas contained under Envirodomes will make use of this surplus, to the delight of visiting aristocrats. Which would cost us a big chunk of our already dwindling population. Grant us a particularly brutal acts of violence. And net us, to be fair, a fair amount of profit factor, plus protectorate-wide complacency. But I mean, I really feel like the benefits of Test of Wills are just straight up better. Even before you get into the really corny nature of turning our prison planet into a glorified blood sport arena. The main downside here really being that running this project will delay Extractium Metallica. But I think we can live with that. We only really need those Extractiums when we're encountering new worlds. So what did we actually get from all that? Not any items, it would seem. Though the hammer, obviously. So we'll go ahead and slap that on. Less of a straight-up upgrade than I thought. Slightly higher damage, but slightly lower pen. The only real clear-cut advantage being the doubled knockback damage. Which, is in and of itself well worth equipping it for. So we must have pulled talents, I guess? Ah, yes, there we go. The Hammer and the Cog. By humbling the monks and the tech priests, the rogue trader has gained a reputation as a great mediator, granting a scaling bonus to medkits based off of iconoclast rank. Okay, I mean, not the best thing for a crime lord sniper to have, but still might come in handy. And Keen Mind. All allies gain plus 3% dodge reduction. You know what? Very simple, very small, but still useful. Except for our characters like Cass or Adira, who ignore dodge, but, you know. Still. Huh. I'm actually seeing a few here that don't look familiar. I guess they must have fixed a number of broken choice-based talents during the latest round of patches. That's fun. Okay, well, let's oh. All right, Kaiser buddy. I love you, but you are steadily taking over more and more of my keyboard. One sec. We'll be right back. Hey, and we're back. Technical issue resolved. Don't worry, Kaiser's just chilling out in a chair next to me now. And I also went ahead and pinpointed Grantis, which it turns out is right down here at the bottom of what I am now realizing must be a rough loop, kind of overlapping with our main path between Footfall and Janus. I think it is a path that I noted before, but one that I kind of ignored because the path was just too hazardous from this side, and we didn't have the navigator points to render it navigable. But we certainly do now. We're up to 8, with 9 once we clear Pulvis Platinum. So yeah, I'm thinking what we'll do now is loop around counterclockwise, and then that'll theoretically spit us back out just space south of Mundus Valancius. Then we can take care of the Dargonis stuff. That said, obviously short term, we've got Pulvis Platinum right here, so I think that should remain our current focus. No point in leaving a single unexplored sector right in the middle of our map. And I think we'll also two-hop it, since that's obviously both safer and will further advance our various projects, which is kind of the point of what we're doing right now. So yeah, we'll bounce over to Telecos Epsilon, and then from there, I guess, rebound back to Pulvis. The clan servicing the cooling systems have reported an incident of sorcery. The shadows in the cabins and corridors are coming to life. The Voidsmen say they see strange, writhing things lurk in nooks and crannies at the edge of their vision. If they look away, the things spread over the room, gnawing on everything in their path and attacking the weak and infirm. The strange creatures cannot be caught. It is almost as if they sense they are being watched and sink into the many cracks between the machines and bulkheads. Sure, yeah, just another Wednesday in the warp. The important thing here is to keep our cool. And while neither of these are particularly weighted in our favor, we do have a slightly better chance with this one, so Irliet. The controlled scorching of decks is a labor-intensive but very familiar process for the Voidsmen serving under the ship's Infernus master. The evacuated chambers were set on fire, burning away all filth and heresy from the darkest corners. The Shadow Skulkers vanished without a trace, and the denizens of the cooling system breathed a sigh of relief. Nice. Infernus we trust. I do feel like we might have had that event before, but if we did, I'm going to guess we probably flubbed it. Oh, and we are so close to hitting level 27. Alright, let's see what's going on with Dargonis. Lord Captain, there's been a tragedy on Dargonis. Governor Dridestem has been dedicating most of his time to restoring the Astropathic choir, lost to the warp storms. But the psychers he assembled were struck by an unknown assault. They heard something, and it has cast them into madness. The Astropaths have lost sleep, clawed at their skin to the flesh, muttered gibberish, and now they have gone completely berserk. They had to be eliminated, and now only a few of the most resilient astropaths are upholding the connection to Dargonis. But how long will they last? Clawed their skin to the flesh, huh? You sure they needed to be put down? Because, you know what? Not important. Where do we normally get astropaths? Can't we just order more? I have received complaints that Governor Drivestem has devastated the minor astropathic choirs of the Protectorate. He scaled them down by almost half through blatant abuse of his authority. To take more people from these choirs would mean depriving ourselves of the connections to other worlds. We could try to hire sanctioned psychers from other domains, but they will be few, as the road to the Imperium is perilous. Okay, so what I'm hearing here is that, aside from potentially being connected to the Drukhari, who are raiding our worlds, Governor Drivestem may also be responsible for actively sabotaging our interstellar communication system? Because that feels pretty notable. We can try getting by with the resources that are already available to us. Seek out the unsanctioned astropaths who train those psi-active citizens of the Protectorate, displaying promise. A most regrettable violation of his law, caused by our grave situation. Yeah, that's certainly an option. Danrock, do we have any idea what it is that attacked our astropaths? Like, if we replace them, is this just going to end up happening again? Who knows? The schemes of heretics from the cult of the Final Dawn? The treacherous magic of the Xenos? Perhaps it was a planned diversion, or maybe it was a random echo in the Immaterium. Right, yeah, could be pretty much anything. Alright people, I'm open to suggestions here. The astropaths are among the most finely trained specialists in the Imperium, who beheld the light of the Emperor himself, and gained a special bond with our master. I strongly advise the rogue trader to recruit only sanctioned psychers, who are capable of keeping their talents in check. If there are not enough, the Inquisition will assist you in locating and acquiring more. Oh, Heinrichs, you have a way of both making a sensible suggestion whilst also making it sound horrifying. But you know what? I will take it under consideration. It is an option. Anyone else? Your Lordship, Lady Theodora not only had enemies in the Expanse, but friends as well. Those whom she helped out, rescued, and saved. I think those people can offer a helping hand. Among them are several powerful planetary rulers, who possess both astropaths and a deep respect for your family name. Ah, Abby coming in clutch as usual. There are a lot of psychers on my home planet Lyra, Lord Captain. Do you know why? There we are not despised, persecuted, and enslaved on black ships. There we are sheltered from raids, educated, and respected. Of course, it is all done in secrecy from outsiders, but I can suggest which ruler to contact. Perhaps the von Valancius family name will be enough to make a deal and obtain a more educated group of astropaths, rather than some criminal rabble. I mean, that's not a terrible suggestion? Which, well, no, I guess technically it is, considering we can barely handle the one unsanctioned psyker we already have. Also, wait, didn't you tell us that you were sold into captivity by your friends as a teen, and then beaten for the audacity of speaking out of turn? Because that really doesn't seem to jive with what you're telling me now about psychers being respected on your planet. Yeah, you know what? While I am curious about Lyra, I think we'll just take the astropath of least resistance here. Abby, make the call. Theodora's questionable choices have made plenty of problems for us in the present, but perhaps just this once it might actually get us out of one. Not to mention, of course, I do feel like we're at the point where Valen would be starting to recognize the inherent hazards of unsanctioned psychers. I do like Adira, but, at the same time, she's also quite a handful. We really don't need more of her running around our protectorate. It will be done. I wonder how many of them are still alive. A ship carrying 24 astropaths soon arrived on Dargonis. They have descended to the surface covered head to toe with protective amulets, as if going to war. The news of the tragedy that befell the previous choir quickly spread throughout the expanse. Each of them conveyed words of amity from the rulers who had sent them, and each asked permission to visit the family crypt, to pay tribute to Lady Theodora. The tragic pestilence of the astropaths has not appeared again, but all of them have reported hearing strange whispers ever since their first day on the planet. Yeah, that's probably not great, but what are you going to do? And on the bright side, yet another project up and running, which now grants us an infinite source of upgraded frags. So I'll go ahead and get those swapped into our loadouts. I mean, honestly, the big reason I tend to not use grenades is because they now also double as potential cargo. So, there is an actual opportunity cost every time we use one. But that's less of a concern once we get renewable supplies like this. Plus, we got some much-needed mechanisms. Those are vital for several of our other projects. Oh, wow. I really thought our security was higher on Dargonis. And nothing else we can do here just yet. We need Xenotech and Caspelika rep, since we're obviously not doing that one. And then quick spot check on the rest of our colonies. Oh, okay. We've got new options on Janus. And I feel like we've already talked about this one, so we're obviously going forest fortresses over monstrous servants. The inhabitants of Janus are restless. The populace may be placated by turning agri-complexes into impenetrable fortresses, assigning sheriffs from among the overseers, and forming Jaeger bands. Which does strain our weapon and adamantine supply, but grants a fairly hefty security boost in return. Not to mention, of course, Karkala's Honor, a unique power sword. +1 damage per character in the party. That's okay. Might be a decent upgrade for Abby. I'll have to crunch some numbers. But really, I think it's pretty obvious here we're going forest fortresses because monstrous servants is just a bit too much for Valen to justify. Normally he would side with the Adeptus Mechanicus, but yeah, this might be a bit much. Sorry, guys. And then aside from that, we need Caspelika rep for this one. And we do need to get this project going on Kiava Gamma, which means we need to secure Kiava Gamma. So you know what? Maybe I'll reprioritize. Maybe we'll head there sooner rather than later. Get that last colony going before we really get stuck back into flirting with the final frontier. Yeah, and then that one's Drusians. We're probably not going to worry about that one. Anyway, let's pop over to Pulvis. We'll at least get a peek at what we're dealing with there. Hey, no event. That's a rarity. Also, I forgot to check what our new talent got us. Disciple of the Damned. Minus 10% damage from daemons, chaos creatures, psychers, and navigators. That is fantastic. Okay, yes, I feel like we I do feel like we made the right choice on that one. Though I suppose I can't say that with certainty without knowing exactly what the others would have netted us. But this does feel pretty solid. Generally speaking, I do prefer the rewards that are universal party-wide talents. I will say my interest in Adira's suggestion did drop pretty sharply once I saw the associated reward was a next slot item. Lord Captain, the Vox systems intercepted a distress signal coming from an Imperial vessel. The system contains a ship that belongs to the planetary fleet of Dargonus, the capital of the Von Valancius dynasty. The transmission is repeated at regular intervals, but the message itself is corrupted. A cacophony of requests for help, groans, and shouts. What in the world? It is your name that they are shouting, Lord Captain. Ooh, very ominous. Though I feel like, didn't we already recover all 3 of our missing ships? There was one on Footfall, there was the one with the corrupted Voxcast tech priests, and then the abandoned one, the one where the crew had just completely vanished. No, wait, those were Kiaba Gamma. This is Dargonus. Okay. Interesting. I don't think we've heard anything about ships from Dargonus going missing. Except perhaps the one that Conrad left the planet on after his brief visit. I'd say that certainly bears investigation. Plus, of course, we've got a whole boatload of fuel here. Certainly welcome if we end up going on that loop. That'll take us right past that Adeptus Mechanicus trade station. Pass on the plasteel. We're down to our last extractium. Though, you know, might come back for it later. And we're good. Well, I guess that's pretty much the whole sector, aside from our mystery ship here. Yeah, I guess we have time for an event. Let's get a closer look. Oh, okay, well, scratch that. It's a full-on dungeon. In which case it will have to wait for next time. Oh. And we're so close to hitting level 27. But I suppose that means we're pretty much guaranteed to hit it after our next combat encounter. You know what? This actually works out just fine. I know our next level is just a new ability, our 3rd class ability for the advanced archetypes. So this will give me a chance to scroll through the patch notes again, see where everything ended up after the latest round of rebalances. Like previously, I was going to go killing Edge for Valen, but I hear it's been nerfed into the ground now. As well as a lot of the arch-militant stuff. So I'll have to recheck the number balances, see what folks are saying about the various other abilities at this point. And of course, suggestions are always welcome. Feel free to chime in down in the comments if you are so inclined. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping. Maybe do some quick trading. I think we've got some more cargo to pawn off. And we will pick up here next time, as we see what these platinum skulls have gotten themselves into. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, CrowkingLoR, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.